Welcome back, legends. I hope you're all fantastic. As promised, we're going to hear the Synergy 2CP module side by side with my Boogie Mark IV. I'm going to be using my Ernie Ball Music Man JP7, the John Petrucci signature, which I think feels appropriate for this particular sort of amp. I have the Syn 2 hooked up with the Boogie so that I can use the Boogie Power Amp and the Boogie Graphic EQ. I'm not going to use the Graphic EQ on the Synergy, even though it is centered at the same frequencies. It's just one less thing to muck around with. I just want to demonstrate the character of this particular preamp with the character of the preamp from the Mark IV. So we're going to start with some utter filth, because I think that's the sound that a lot of people come to this channel and to this particular amp for, so that feels like a match made in heaven. Let's do it. So that is pretty interesting with the really wide open chords and the stuff on the higher strings. I think they sound really similar. You can hear with that chugging low B that it's actually the module that has a little more low end. So what we can do to tweak that is maybe let's just add in a little bit more low end on the Mark IV. So I've done that in front of the gain stage. Let's have a listen to it now. And there you go. That is already a whole lot closer. And while the bass is on 0 on this, the bass is on like 2 on the Mark IV, which to me just screams slight differences in either the pot taper or the actual tolerance of the pots used. And keep in mind, this is a brand new module straight from the factory. And this amp is, I don't even know how old this particular amp is, but it's probably at least 15 years old, and they're made by different companies as well, but with the same basic circuit in there. So just hearing that with the chunky stuff, I think kind of immediately answers that question that some people were posing, which was like, is this just a kind of generic preamp and they're selling it as a Boogie thing? It sounds like it's doing the Boogie thing with the preamp structure. And again, this is designed by Stephen Fryette. Stephen Fryette knows what's up, and if you watch any of his videos over on the Fryette Amp channel, he's got a pretty good understanding of how these things work. So you can actually hear it, and then you can also hear it from Steve as well in terms of the engineering aspect in there. What I want to do now is I want to turn the fat switch on these. So this is called shift on the 2CP, and it's pull fat on the Mark. So you got to be careful when you pull this that you don't actually twist the pot when you do it. So we'll kind of do some lead stuff now. Where am I starting on the module? Interesting. Let's start on the module with the fat switch on. You know, that is more than close enough for rock and roll. It's feeling so similar and it's sounding so similar on there. Of course, there is a pull bright control on both of these. Well, I say pull bright, it's a switch, bright switch right there, and then it is a pull bright on the lead drive control here. Let's just kick that in because this is my favorite kind of sizzling lead tone from both of these units. Now I can hear a little bit of a difference just there, which I'm guessing is maybe just a different bright cap value. The other interesting thing is I actually prefer the lead mid-gain mode on the Mark IV. So I'm going to engage that. We can have a listen to that side by side with the Synergy. So to me, the Synergy sounds a little bit smoother and maybe a little less chewy, for use of a better term. That's just a term that I use. I don't expect that one to be a universal one. But what I found is you can bump the presence control on the Synergy to cop more of that mid-gain mode on the Mark IV. It's stank face approved, isn't it? What I want to do next is, I think the dilemma for a lot of people with this 2CP preamp is, can you get it to do the super crystalline clean sound that the Mark can do and the searing lead tone? And you do have to compromise a little bit just based on the design. There's not independent controls on there, but with something like a Syn 2, you can have another module in there. So I have the TDLX module in there, set up really clean, and I want to hear how similar that sounds to the clean channel on the Boogie. Pretty similar, I think. There's going to be enough differences in there, something modeling a twin versus whatever the Boogie cleans are based on, what were they originally, a Princeton or something like that? So I'm not sure exactly how close they're meant to be, but again, they sound really, really close, and you could totally drive yourself mad trying to get it really, really accurate, but I don't think that's the point. I think the idea is something like the 2CP on its lead mode especially, and because it's got the graphic EQ centered at the same frequencies, it's putting you in that zone where I'm sure if you've got a Mark IV and a Mark III and a Mark IIc Plus and a Mark V, they would all put you in that zone in slightly different ways. It's almost like a sports team and this is your main position player, and you have half a dozen people who could do that particular job. Well, it's kind of like that with Mark series amps. I think the main takeaway here is that, does the 2CP do the Boogie thing? It does the Boogie thing to my ears anyway, and for what I want. And furthermore, if you're kind of worried about the clean sound thing and you're running multiple modules, then there's plenty of other clean modules out there which could do it. But of course, the real answer would be to just get two 2CPs. Run one for clean, run one for dirty, and then you're home and hosed. And if you haven't seen Michael Nielsen's video where he compares the 2CP to the studio preamp, the studio preamp is 2 rack spaces. So imagine having 2 studio preamps to do the same thing. That's 4 rack spaces versus 1 if you're going to do that with a Syn 2. And if anybody out there is doing that, let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.